Right before this show started, we had some breaking news on the football field for the Washington Commanders. That is a great tweet right there. You guys watched me write it.
Wow.
It was awesome. I actually wrote it and then had the wrong picture, so I had to edit it and re-bump it just to get the retweets on.
Pros, bad luck.
Yep, not my first time doing that.
Bad luck.
No, it's fine. Terry McLaurin, who had been staging one of the NFL's most high-profile hold-ins, has agreed to terms on a 3-year deal worth up to $96 million. That is the contract extension. Gets a $30 million signing bonus and has the opportunity to earn more than any receiver over the age of 30. Okay. It has been a long road for McLaurin. I'd like to know the final details of this deal to see how close it actually came to DK Metcalf's $33 million. That is what he wanted. Didn't get to the 33, and I believe the base is going to be lower because 96 is the max. So my guess is it's closer to the $30 million mark than the 32, but it's really nice for Terry McLaurin. It is, thankfully, one of the NFL's longest-running sagas is now over. We have been able to process this now, even though it's been a couple minutes. Give me your thoughts.
I mean, as a Patriots fan, it kind of stinks just because you're one of those teams that wants Terry McLaurin. I feel like there's probably at least 25 teams that are disappointed, at least fan bases wise, for the Commanders and for also the other teams kind of looking in on this. Is this bad for, a Cowboys, a Bengals, where an extension gets done and this is just going to amplify theirs even more? It feels like we were saying for a while here, like, Terry's the one that will get the deal done.
Yeah.
The others, not really sure, but Terry McLaurin always felt like the one guy that was probably going to stay with his team. Again, just disappointed as a fan who's not a Commanders fan. But, I mean, the Commanders, if you're just looking at the team now with Debo and Terry McLaurin and Zach Ertz and Jaden Daniels and wild Bill Krosky Merritt, it's all of a sudden
Which is a whole other story we're going to get to in a second.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but they're amazing now with Debo and Laramie Tunsil and everything, and now I think Super Bowl's right back on.
Yeah, I do agree, though. I'd be interested to see what the actual contract is because, like, last week when you were hosting and we were talking about this, really everything that we've heard about him in the last several weeks has been like, hey, they're way far off on money. He wants one thing and he's kind of being steadfast, and they don't know if they want to get to that point. And it's reported at 32 a year. You kind of just laid out what it'll actually be. So it'll be interesting to see how much he's actually making and how much he maybe had to concede, or how much they had to concede. But if you're a Commanders fan, I mean, we've been talking about like this needed to get done. They need Terry McLaurin on the field this year to kind of make sure that Jaden Daniels' potential just keeps going on the up and up. So I think, this is great news and, just in time.
No, we like this. You had to get it done if you were the Commanders. This is great for Terry, but the Commanders had to get it done. Just like Ty said, like the number one thing for them is that Jaden Daniels doesn't go into like some sophomore slump, like that he continues to get better. And the only way to do that is with a number one wide receiver, and Terry McLaurin is by far their number one wide receiver. Debo is great. But Terry's a number one wide receiver. And everyone who watches and knows football knows exactly what I'm saying there. But like a rookie quarterback, so you have the money, and you want him to continue to get better. And I mean, this is a new ownership with a fan base that is coming back to this team. And the one thing that you didn't want to do is lose them again and say, oh, this owner's the same as the last one, and we just didn't pay one of our guys who's been with us forever and shows up every single day and is the consummate professional.
I was actually curious to see, you're right about that. I mean, this is an organization now that is more of the organization that does things right as opposed to the way it was in the past, which is basically an organization that did everything wrong. Paying one of your best players, even if it's a little more than you wanted. It's like, okay, let's say the deal comes in at $30 million. Okay, fine. So you wanted to pay $29 million. All right, so you overpay a little bit for one of your good players. That's fine. I'm really curious to see what the fan base actually ends up thinking about Terry McLaurin, because it got a little not great.
Yeah.
I think the fans were kind of a little out on him, like some of the antics, and he did what he needed to do to get paid, and I think he should have done that. Mm-hmm. But the fans felt some sort of way about Terry McLaurin during this whole process. I'm curious to see where that goes.
Yeah, definitely. No matter what, when it's a big, team or a big contract, fans are going to feel the way they feel during it, but I feel like now that it's done, it's done.
Agreed.
You know, like fans,
Yeah,
fans of a team, sure, maybe in the moment when things are getting released of him talking on the sideline during practice and not actually practicing, but because of who Terry is too, like for Washington, you know, you just mentioned how it used to be, everything used to be done terribly, and Terry lived through that, and now he's, you know, on the good team, and I feel like we've said all these things for, you know, the last 4 months with Terry, but it is true. You know, he went through the shit. They finally got a quarterback. They got good. He wants to get paid. To your understanding, what was kind of like, did they ever get a best offer, like a damn near an offer that they were going to
from another team?
To trade him? Like, was it ever close? Were they ever like tempted with the team? And then I'm assuming you don't know, but should we start looking at contracts like this? Similar to how like Trey Hendrickson's is, where sure he signs a 3-year extension, it's great, but in 2 years there's going to be no money in his last year, and then we're just going to do this again.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like there's a reason that players want it front loaded. Now, like Terry McLaurin, this is probably the last contract he signs, so like this is a good one for him. It's 3 years. My guess is he probably wanted a little less, maybe wanted 2 years to have another, but like 3 years is fine. He's going to finish his career with the Commanders probably, but yeah, I mean like when. You know, if you're a really good player, like teams often do not want to give players third contracts. That is when you decide like, all right, we're going to move on or not. If you are good enough to get a third contract, sometimes this fight happens.
One helmet guy.
I mean, right. And like TJ did it. The Steelers took care of him. Trey Henderson is still going through it, and we'll talk about that. But like to get the real money, the guaranteed money for a third contract, it's like lightning has to strike. And sometimes you got to be the guy who shows up at the car dealership and talks to reporters and says, I'm disappointed in the team.
Oh no, what do we got? What do we got?
No, I'm just looking at the contract details that are being texted me because everyone wants to know like what are the real numbers.
Yeah, the guarantee.
Yeah, the guarantee, and then just like what's the base? Like how much does he actually get? But like to get a third contract, you got to go through this, and I think it sucks and it's too bad. And you got to be willing to withstand a lot. Like, it's not for everyone. Some guys sign, or like Trey Henderson could have signed with the Bengals and gotten a deal that would have given him a huge bump this year and not a lot guaranteed after. And he wants more. And to do that, he's got to be willing to take the franchise, like getting frustrated and the fan base getting frustrated with him. And it's not for everyone, but that's why there's only a couple of these.
Yeah, well, and you kind of just laid it out perfectly there, too, about why fan bases get angry is because people like you say, he was offered a huge bump, but he wants more. It's like that. You're the problem.
Yeah,
Just actually saw it.
I get it.
Face to face, but like that's the other thing, too, is that like the players, especially a guy like Trey Henderson and Terry McLaurin, who weren't drafted really high and know, one, how difficult it is to succeed, but two, the likelihood of people who are drafted in the 3rd and 4th round getting their third contract in the NFL. I'm sure it's not that high, especially at that amount of money. But like when you're a player in the NFL, if you don't, stand up for what you want, guess what? You don't get it.
Yeah.
So what else are these guys supposed to do?
And when it comes to the fans, like, we'll see what happens with the Trey Hendrickson situation. But like, if anyone is upset about Terry McLaurin now, like they're not going to give a shit week 1 when he has 100 yards and a touchdown. It's the same thing with Trey Hendrickson. So it's like if you're not willing to kind of take a little bit of heat in the middle of the summer when there's nothing else to talk about, and it's just like, oh, this guy's because that stuff always comes around, and we always hear the two sides of the story. And as long as those guys end up performing on the field, which everyone expects them to do because they're two of the best players at their respective positions, then sometimes you have to do this kind of stuff to get a little bit more money.
Yeah, usually I feel like fans only hate the player when they're offered basically the same deal and, they still force their way out. Like if Trey Henderson ends up getting traded and signs like a 2-year deal with a bunch of money in this year and not much money next year, then Cincinnati fans will hate him. And like that's when, people will take it as a shot. Like I'm assuming Cincinnati fans, if that were to happen, they would take it as a shot towards like the city itself versus the front office that Trey Henderson's been dealing with. But yeah, it's just nice one of these situations is done, honestly, because we've been talking about Terry, Mike, and Trey for since the draft. So it's nice that one of them finally has a green check next to it.
I mean, I'm happy with it. When these situations happen, you end up calling the same people over and over and getting no response. And it's like, finally, then it happens. It's like a big thing. And then you're like, All right.
Yeah.
What do we do now?
What do you think the numbers looked like, say, 4 weeks ago compared to now? Like, is there a ton of movement when you have these situations?
Probably not. And, I think what basically happens is, and, I would say this is similar to the Trey Hendrickson situation, is team gets to a point where they're like, this is around where we'll be. So, like, either take it now or we're just going to spend the next several weeks arguing over a little bit. And what you end up doing is you say, let's just argue. And so, like the Trey Hendrickson deal, he's going to get a probably double or something like that this year, and then more money into the next 2 years. And the argument is over guaranteed money, not overall base. And so that's that argument. That's kind of why they're taking their time and not there yet, if they end up even getting there. For the McLaurin, my guess is it was more like he wanted to get close to $33 million from DK Metcalf. How can we kind of help you get there without guaranteeing, what we want, what we didn't want to do? Like, how can we help you and not take money away from us, right? And so what they did was probably up the incentives and say, if you earn it, you are able to make $32 million. Like, that's kind of how they bridge the gap. And, the numbers come out like they come out. We're all talking about $96 million. And I do this too, so it's just not like I do this too. And then the real numbers will come out and we'll be like, oh, by the way, here's the base. But, if you're McLaurin and you say, like, I'm worth $32 million, there's nothing wrong with the Commanders going like, okay, go earn it. Like, for us, but go earn it.
What's that guarantee going to look like here on this one, Rap Sheet? Like, what's the range?
I mean, I would imagine it's going to be more than half. Like, probably what this is he's guaranteed this year, which he was obviously already going to play this year, guaranteed next year, and then a little bit guaranteed the following year. So what this probably does is lock McLaurin in for at least 2026, which is some security, and probably 2027. At that point, he'll be like 33 years old, and then they'll have to pay the quarterback.
Yeah.
And, like, you guys hit on it. Like, this is why you do you do these deals now. You pay as much money, and this is why you can pay Bobby Wagner like $12 million. Most teams don't have $12 million for a off-the-ball linebacker who's a veteran, great leader, but when you have Jaden Daniels on a rookie deal, you can do that.
Ertz got paid.
He's a tackling machine, Rap Sheet. He's an absolute tackling machine, though. Don't be slandering him in the middle there. That guy's been doing it forever, Bobby Wagner.